a beautiful, beautiful spring, yes, spring morning, because spring began when? 2 days ago. Is that right, Pat? St.
Yeah,
Bridget's
that's
Day?
it. Yeah, yeah. And by the way, it's no, I'm not saying it's roasting. I got a friend in Australia sent me. He lives in Adelaide, and he said it's the coldest Adelaide morning he can remember in a long time.
Oh, is
Like
that
it's
right?
18 or
I
19
didn't.
degrees. But he says at this time of the year should be about 10 degrees warmer.
Uh,
But
uh,
anyway, Judy, I told him take about 10 off 18, and he would probably get what we have.
aye, aye. Well, you see, it's all that's relative, but I must say it's gorgeous to see a morning like that. And it's
Yeah,
quite balmy here, you know. Anyway,
yeah, it's nice.
enough of this. Our listeners aren't interested in our views on the weather. They want our views on the great issues of the day. So let's go straight to one that both you and I, am sure, have been hearing, thinking about for the last, what is it, 30 years? And that is
Yeah.
the manslaughter of Aiden McAnespie, who was shot in the back by a British soldier who was 18 at the time. And that soldier has now been tried and he's been given 3 years in jail, suspended sentence. What do you think, Pat?
Jude, I was listening yesterday. I think his name might be someone like David Young of the sort of Veterans Association of
Yeah.
Northern Ireland. And I was listening to it, and the more I listened to it, I thought, what a, I don't know if it's the words dishonest commentary. Jude, let's get this something clear. Mr. Young seems to be suggesting that this was an unduly harsh sentence. Aidan McAnespie was 23 when he was going through a checkpoint. He was shot in the back. As parents, his brothers and sisters, siblings have tried for years to get it. So finally, after 35 years, David Holden, I think's the man's name, the soldier's name, appears in court and he's given a 3 year suspended sentence. And for the killing of the manslaughter of a human being. And for someone to come on air and saying this is an unduly harsh sentence, I think that actually is offensive. But let me put it in context as well. He was trying to say that this is unfair and so on, and look at IRA. So, during the Troubles, and I'm not 100% certain this, but there's a guy on the Republican side I asked, he reckons there are up to 10,000 Republicans, nationalists jailed during the Troubles. And there are considerably less than 10 soldiers jailed for their part, and there was about, what, 400 killings involving the security forces in RUC and so on. So, and Jude, some of them were very controversial. And by the way, the other point is most of the people from the British Army who were actually charged with anything, if they even did jail time, and most of them didn't, within a very short time, they were taken back into the regiments, and quite a few of them were actually promoted. So this rubbish that I was listening to yesterday, I actually thought it was offensive for anybody to come on and say that a suspended sentence for the killing of a human being was unduly harsh.
Well, it depends, you see, on where you're starting from. You and I would start at the place that we start at. They would start at the notion, these are the law keepers, these are the security forces. And if they are engaged in violence, it's well earned, or, it's pardonable. And therefore, you don't judge them by the same criteria. I mean, as you say, that's been borne out by the number of security, heavily quotation marked security forces, people who have spent any time in jail. But about this particular one, Pat, Aiden McAnespie, as far as his family are concerned, they say that he received several death threats from the security forces as he passed through that over the weeks and months before he was killed. The other thing I would point to is, well, we need to keep in mind now, he did shoot this guy, the soldier did shoot this Aiden McAnespie in the back, but the bullet, we're told, bounced off the ground and hit him in the back. So if that's the case, then we can't use the word murder about him. It's not a murder. He didn't presumably intend it.
I'd say manslaughter, yeah.
Yeah. So it was reckless. You could say it was very reckless. Given the fact that he was threatened in the past by the British Army, my suspicion would be, I could be wrong now, my suspicion would be that he maybe was trying to scare the living daylights out of him and fired at the ground, and one of these then killed him. The last thing I'd say about it is that imagine if you were in the soldier situation and you either deliberately or accidentally fired a bullet that went into the ground and then bounced up and killed the guy. would you not be filled with remorse? Would you not want to go to the grieving family and say, I'm so sorry. That was a terrible, I really didn't mean to do that. I wasn't trying to kill. Yeah. But he has at no point expressed any feelings of remorse for the action he's done.
I think that the judge yesterday, as Judge O'Hara said, that without question that it was a concocted story and that there was deliberate falsehoods and all the rest of it. And the judge, I think, made the remark that you're after making, saying that it would have helped somewhat had he shown some remorse, but is at no stage. Judy, you think even, look, I didn't mean anything. This was an unfortunate thing. My hands were, but Jude, you know the whole. It's admitted that they were paying attention to McAnespie, that the soldier possibly had him on his sights, on the gun sights, and all this sort of stuff. Dude, the whole thing, as far as I'm concerned, you know, it took them 35 years to get a soldier into court. And like, let's get this clear: there's two-tiered justice in Northern. Some of the in the past, people were sent to jail. I know nationalists were sent to jail on risible evidence. And if my friend in the Republican who I contacted some months back because I was doing a wee article, and he says, as far as he could figure out, 10,000 Republicans have gone to jail, and less than 10 soldiers have gone to jail. And less, considerably less, by the way. He wasn't sure. He thought it was more like about 6. So that's the reality of it. Well,
there's something perverse when a young man, a 23-year-old, is shot dead, shot in the back. Now, whether the thing was intentional or reckless or deliberate, well, let's give him the benefit of the doubt. The soldier didn't do it deliberately. Yeah. But to turn around and say, who's the victim here? Oh, the victim is the soldier. Yeah, the soldier has been condemned to 3 years. You know, it's not actually going to jail for 3 years. It's just a suspended sentence. One of the McAnespie family members yesterday, I can't remember the name of the guy, he said the whole tenor of the media coverage and the sympathy, the poor soldier, look what he said, 35 years later, he's been appearing in court. They have had to do without their brother for 35 years. The man was innocent. He was shot dead going through a checkpoint on his way to a GA match. You know, who was the victim? Well, you see, I think it feeds into the kind of, dare I say, narrative that the British people have been fed for so long. The British people have been told, our boys are over here trying to keep these two warring tribes apart. Yeah. And if some people were shot in the course of it, you know, he wasn't intending to do it. He was just doing the best he could for his country and helping out these mad Irish. So, of course, you're going to be cheesed off if somebody then says, oh, we're going to give him a sentence of 3 years in jail. You'd say, wow, this is perverse. You know, our boys are over there trying to keep the peace. Yeah, the old honest broker argument that these mad Irish people and our boys. Jude, let's be honest, and that, you know, and wrap us up. The British were not neutral. They were neutral on the side of oil, and they weren't even neutral there. They were out in the open. They worked tirelessly, and what was the loyalists, and the collusion was rampant and is provable. A very sad case that somehow the fact I found poignant that the fact that he was going to a GAA match, going to play in the GAA match, I think, and crossing a border that he had crossed any number of times himself. Like, who was at home, him or the soldier? Anyway, let's stop that one. Let's go on to equally, even more awful. And that is the British government has decided to grant a full inquiry into the Omagh bomb. What is it? 29? How many years is this? The Omagh bomb was 1998. It was 25 years. Of August 1998. Nearly 25 years. So the question I would ask is this: why now? Why have they chosen now, out of the 25 years, to actually mount this full inquiry? And secondly, what exactly will they be investigating? So do you know the answer to those two? Well, I saw Nuala alone on last night, and in fairness, I wasn't that much clear after she left than when she started, but it seems to be what they're saying. It's not to hold the security forces to account, but they're saying that there seems to be evidence, and I don't know where it's coming from, but I presume it's usual sources, intelligence sources, but they're saying this bomb could have been
prevented. Now, imagine if you're one of the relatives and saying they had intelligence, they knew a bomb was coming, and they either A, deliberately let him go, B, was careless, or C, I take whatever other option you want. But the bottom line is, they said there seems to be clear evidence. If I got Nuala alone last night, that the security people knew a bomb was coming, and it looks like they messed up, but I don't know how they messed up or what. But I presume this is the inquiry. They're saying that they're having an inquiry to ensure it never happens again. And I was listening to what I call the news on Radio Ulster yesterday, and one of the relatives of the victim says she was hoping that it wouldn't be. She didn't want the RUC or somebody else. She says this is deflection. She says the people who planted the bomb are the people who should be.
Yes, I heard that. I saw that woman on. I was struck by that. I think, well, I think she was personally affected by it, whether herself or her family.
Her brother died in it.
But I think I can understand why she would say that, but I actually think she's wrong.
So do I.
One of the things that they grant, and you're right, you mentioned it, it's granted that the RUC were in advance of the bomb arriving, they were warned there was something. They didn't say what. Yeah. The call said something was going to happen on the 15th of August. Yeah. And it was ignored. So to that extent, if that's the case, and they seem to be acknowledging that's the case even before they mount this inquiry, then clearly that was an omission on their part of the RUC. The second thing is they're supposed to be inquiring into, could this have been avoided? In other words, what preparations were made, what checks were there, and so on. Now, I'm convinced, but I don't ask me why I'm convinced, but I am convinced that there was a double agent involved in this. Yeah. There was a British undercover cop or soldier with the real IRA gang, and that the last thing that will ever happen is that will come out and be proved to be so. Yeah, I will bet you, Pat, £100 that doesn't happen.
I heard Heaton Harrison at Westminster yesterday making that very point that you're after making. He says there will be some things that will not be available for public scrutiny. So I presume there's a double agent in there, or there's the role of the state that's in there somewhere. But anyway, the whole thing is I would like to know now. Theresa Villiers, when she was Secretary of State, turned down an inquiry. So I would like to know now, why is Heaton Harris agreeing to one now? What's changed now? I don't know, Judge. There's no point in me bullshitting and saying I do.
Well, I don't know either, but I suspect that this case, you see, is on the other side of 1998. It's on, after the Good Friday Agreement. Yeah. The legacy bill is going to give a sort of a free pass to any killings that happened until 1998. So it might be that, well, this is the grounds on which they're saying we can have this inquiry. But I have a suspicion they're hoping that by doing this, by giving this is a sort of a concession, so to speak, to the people who were opposed to violence. And then people will accept the fact that we haven't investigated anything leading up to 1998. Is it sort of a counterweight? You still there, Pat? I can't see you anymore. You there, Pat? I think I'll pause my recording because you seem to have vanished.